All right. So I'll go ahead and welcome everyone. I'm Catherine, the Executive Director for NARI Atlanta, and you are in the first session of the day. Mike's taking a selfie.
Let's talk about it.
Is SEO right for my business and other ways to get consistent quality leads? So Mike Claudio, he's a member of the Charlotte chapter of NARI, so we have a fellow NARI member with us. And that's really all I've got. Oh, I want to remind all of you, so as soon as this session is over, once I end that meeting, you're going to get a pop-up. It's going to ask you to do the session evaluation. We do recommend that you just take 2 minutes to do that real quick. You will have access to these for the next 2 weeks after this is over, but if you just take a couple seconds, couple minutes to do it today, then it's fresh on your mind and you don't have to worry about it later. So look for that when this is over. And for now, I will hand it over to Mike.
Appreciate it. I mean, that was a good introduction. I'll do a quick introduction. I'm just going to share my screen and get this started and kind of dive into it because we have a lot to cover in the next 50 minutes or so. And I want to make sure that we get as much covered as possible. So is SEO right for my business and other ways to get consistent quality leads? When me and Catherine were talking about this, originally it was, I have an opinion on kind of where people put their money into getting leads. And there's a lot of different ways out there to do it. And we've all kind of heard the consistent story of pay to be on the first page of Google, pay to increase your SEO, and it costs a lot of money. And in my opinion, it doesn't work as well as many other things. We're going to get into my opinion on that today and kind of some other things that I've done to have success in this. So who am I? So I'm owner of Winray Consulting. I do sales, leadership, and business development coaching for contractors. I have 15 years of sales and leadership experience. I host the Big Stud Sales podcast. In the last 18 months since going full-time as a business coach, I've coached about 50 companies. But that all kind of stemmed from a period of time where I grew 2 construction companies by multiple 7 figures based on some of the things and tactics we're going to talk about today. And I am married and a father of 2 sons, 4 and 2, and being quarantined with a 4 and 2-year-old, as you can imagine, I'm happy to see everybody. I wish I could see you, but it's nice to be here. But is SEO right for my business? So yes and no. That is not a clear answer. We're going to get into kind of how I feel about it and what I think you need to be focusing on when you're making the decisions around, do I or don't I spend money on it? So it comes down to several factors around business size, manpower, scalability, what your intent of it is. And ultimately, the reason I have kind of the swayed opinion I do is, so for about 6 years, I worked for a remodeling company for about 2.5 and a roofing company, both in a vice president of business development. And I never spent $1 on leads or SEO or Google AdWords or Facebook ads. And I literally sold over $10 million in projects. And this isn't like a go Mike, it's more of a like, hey, it's possible without it. And that's kind of why, and a lot of the content that's going to be in this presentation stem from is my experience in that world of, hey, like, it's not what people pretend or say it is or sell you on. And because I've seen so many companies that I've dealt with that didn't need it, but were spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month on their social platforms for SEO and Google ads and Facebook ads. And they were doing less than $1 million in revenue. And that is a giant percentage of your overall expenses on something that, if pivoted, could work a little bit better. But if you're in multiple cities, if you have a large sales staff that you need to keep feeding with leads, there can be value in it. But if you're not doing multiple millions of dollars, in my opinion, I'm not sure it's worth the return on investment. But so here's kind of an overview of what we're going to be talking about today. What is SEO and how you should be utilizing it for your business? How to create messaging that matters for all forms of content. Should you pay to be on the first page of Google? And then alternative ways to grow your business outside of SEO. So that's kind of the outline for today. So what is SEO and how it works? Search engine optimization is the process of affecting the online visibility of a website or web page. Basically, how likely is traffic going to be driven to your site? There's a number of different ways that play into that. It's social media, it's consistency, it's messaging, it's how well do you relate to your ideal client market, from website copywriting, from content copywriting, from video, audio, all these different things. Google basically goes out and says someone was searching for a kitchen remodel. Well, okay, what's most likely to match their interest? Because ultimately Google wants to deliver results that matter. They want to give people what they're looking for. But ultimately, your ability to use SEO to your advantage significantly weighs more on understanding who your ideal client is than spending money to just get to the first page. Because what Google does is they basically create an avatar of likelihood of who the person searching is. Who are they? Where are they? Male or female? Kids, no kids, hobbies, interests. All of these things play into the algorithm of, okay, what does this person actually want to be seen? What does their search history look like? Like, we've all seen it, right? You're talking about vacuums with your wife and all of a sudden you're seeing ads for vacuums, right? That's not a coincidence. It's because like the phone's listening. It keeps track of what you search for, what you Google for, what you're looking at on YouTube, what you're looking at on Facebook. So that like Google keeps a record of that for you and your clients. And so if you understand and can create messaging around who are your ideal clients, if you can talk directly to them, it plays a much better role in the overall process of being able to be put in front of the right person with the right message at the right time. Because sales is significantly timing focused and how you articulate your ability to solve that person's problem, whatever they're searching for. So the more granular you can get in understanding these concepts around what is your ideal client searching for, you can say exactly who are they? Where are they? Are you looking for a woman 35 to 55 or is it a man 50 to 70? Depending on what type of project you do, depending on who makes the decision on those projects, do they have kids or no kids? Hobbies is a big one that I realized as I was growing the remodeling business. Like, I kind of looked at my most recent big wins. And I was like, well, what do they have in common? How can I duplicate this? And I realized they were all parts of road bike groups. Like, they would go out cycling. I said, all right, let me target some people that also do that. And that worked significantly well because like-minded people make decisions similarly. They talk amongst themselves similarly. They trust the opinion of somebody else who has a common hobby or interest as them. It's very common human interaction, but overall you're able to use SEO to do that by understanding where to target and what to say, or even what to title a post or a YouTube video, or how to write a blog, or even just general information on your website. The more granular you get, the better your SEO is going to be. Because when you are trying to be very generic and broad, it actually dilutes your ability to be shown higher up. Because bottom line is, as NARI members and as most of the businesses that are part of the association, we're not huge corporations. So you don't have the budget to beat somebody that wants to be on the first page or that wants to get ranked higher. So you have to be more granular. So when very specific people look for very specific products or services, that's when you can come up. But really it kind of starts in your content creation, understanding who are you going after so you can target them specifically. So if you're looking at building out your client avatar, if you just answer these 6 things, and if you don't know, ask. If you have some great client situations, most of us build really good rapport with those people because we're in their homes for 3 weeks to 6 months on average. You're going to get to know them a little bit better. If you built a good relationship with them, just go ask them, hey, what kind of hobbies are you into? What kind of interests do you have? I'm trying to build out our business to support more people like you because you were one of the best clients we've had all year. Most people will be willing to answer those questions for you. But if these are the 6 things I think are most important when you're trying to figure out how am I going to get my search engine optimization better, the content is more important, in my opinion, than actually paying to just be on the first page. So you have to use a similar verbiage. So what are they searching for? Just kitchen remodels probably isn't it. It's a lot of times it's more granular with that. It's what are the problems they're dealing with? Like, if you think about how you use YouTube or Google, it's how do I solve this problem? It's what do I do about this situation? It's not like people don't Google very broad things because they know they're not going to get a specific answer. So understanding what they're asking, what problems they're dealing with, why are they dealing with them? Like what are the causes of that? And then what solutions could you offer them to match those exact situations? Because the more granular you get, the more that you become known, liked, and trusted, and it gets you up in the Google searches because it's more granular to what their people are actually searching for. And then what benefits will you get by working with you or implementing, excuse me, whatever the solution is that you're recommending. So these are the questions that I always ask myself when I'm creating content, whether it's for YouTube, my blog, a podcast. I always try and say, okay, what is the answers or what are the problems that my ideal client's looking for? Why are they dealing with those problems? What solutions would I suggest or what actions should I suggest they take? And then what benefits would they get? In this case, by working with you or just implementing the solution overall. So that will allow you to use their own words back to them. So the more granular you get, the better. You got to speak directly to them. You know, it's becomes a lot easier as you go. Obviously, early on when you're trying to figure out that verbiage, some of the best things you can do, again, is just ask your client, hey, what was the biggest problem we solved for you and why was it so important that we solved that? And a lot of times when it comes to consistent content creation, because the more content you put out, the better your SEO will be because you're more likely to be shown up multiple times. You can sit down every day and say, what is the problem I solved today? Well, why was solving that problem so important? And that can be strictly educational. You can just be telling someone like, hey, why would doing this over that be important to you? And a lot of times that gets better SEO because Google and Facebook are getting better at understanding what is a sales article and what is more just educational. Because I mean, they dig really deep into the analytics and the verbiage on that. So it's important to understand, get granular. It doesn't always need to be salesy, but understand what problems you solve and why it's important that you're solving those. And you can tell those stories in a way that really attaches to the emotions of your ideal client. They can basically say, hey, he's talking to me. That really gets you higher and higher on the SEO side. But here's really the big part about it. No matter what you're doing, and we're going to get into a lot of different things that I think you need to be doing in your business, but whether it's SEO or branding, whatever it is, the days of no job too big or too small just doesn't work anymore. You know, it creates brand confusion, which leads to a lack of trust. Because if you're posting about faucet replacements and you're posting about commercial projects, the faucet replacement customer who sees that's going to say, well, they do commercial, they're probably too expensive for me. And the commercial client that you might be going after will say, well, if they do faucet replacements like that, like maybe they're too small for us. And ultimately, when you're trying to get granular to that ideal client, don't be afraid to qualify out the wrong types of clients. A lot of times when you get that granular, people get very afraid. Well, what if they don't hire me then? Or what if they don't call me because of that? Or what if in the grand scheme of things, I lose an opportunity because of that? That's going to happen. But if you are saying the story the right way to the right ideal client, you are not going to lose the right opportunities. You might lose some gray areas, some that might be in the middle, but we've all had those clients or projects that you're like, man, I wish I would have known earlier. This is going to be a long few weeks. Because I mean, we've all been there. We've all done that. And when I started getting better at putting out content that help people truly understand like who I am, what I'm about, who I can help, you're getting to the right people better because you better understand that avatar, that ideal client, but you're also pushing away people that are not ideal for you. And that really helps in the grand scheme of you spending more time with the right types of clients and the right types of projects and all of that sort of thing. So the consistency around that and being more granular than like, hey, anybody with floors is a great referral for me. That's just not true. Like you couldn't handle every flooring project in your city or town, nor do you want every flooring project in your city or town. So allowing yourself to be granular there helps a lot with that. So this problem, cause, solution, benefit is, in my opinion, the ultimate success formula. When you can write out what is the problem my person is having, why are they having it, what's causing it, what solution would I suggest, or what benefit would they get by implementing that solution, I use this structure for literally all the content I do. This is a great slide to kind of take a picture of if you're interested. But when you can sit down and say, I want to create content, because content is what gets ranked on Google, you got to think, okay, what is the problem this person, the viewer of this content's having? Why are they having it? Like, what's causing it? What is the solution I'd recommend? And then what is the benefit they would get by implementing that solution? So what this looks like in action when you're creating your verbiage, your talk tracks, I kind of did two ways. So New Leaf Construction was the remodeling company I worked for back when I got into the industry. But the old way of doing things, and you still see a lot of websites like this, and it says, with over 30 years of experience, New Leaf Construction is the best remodeling contractor in Charlotte. We can help you with any of your home improvement needs. We always put the client first and operate with integrity. There might be some people saying that is what my website looks like. And there's nothing wrong with that statement, but there's nothing that differentiates you. There's nothing that's stopping somebody else from saying the same thing. This is not telling anybody about you and how you can solve their problems, because ultimately the prospect does care more about your ability to solve their problem than your company's story and background. Like, they just don't care about you anymore. Because for somebody to say that you operate and put the client first and operate with integrity, that works if your competition is saying, hire me at your own risk, I might take advantage of you. But everybody says operate with integrity. Everybody says to put the client first. So that statement it's non-competitive. It does not differentiate you. It does not help the client understand if they're a good client for you or not. And it doesn't tell a story in a way that someone can say, hey, that's me, while you're talking right at me. And I kind of compare, and I'll show you the next slide in a second, to kind of the old days of the late night infomercials where it's like, are your ankles swollen? Do your knees hurt? Is your low back bothering you? And they're like, yeah, that's me. You need to buy these knives. All they did was relate to their audience in a way that they believed, because they understood who's sitting up late at night in their recliner watching late night television. But all they did was relate to that person better, because if all they said was like, these are the best knives around, they last the longest, that doesn't buy anybody in. You're not talking to me, you're talking about you. So when you go in the new way, you're talking to somebody, and I broke it out into the problem, cause, solution, benefit. You can say this in the text, you can say this on a post, you can say it in a video, you can say it on your website, but the fear of a major remodel project is real. And after 30 years, we have seen it all. You're likely afraid of hiring someone that won't be able to deliver on your expectations and make your vision come to life because of all the horror stories you have heard about bad contractors. That's why they have that fear. We get it, and that is why our design build process allows us to get on the same page on all of the details before we start tearing anything out. That's the solution. It's not really a sales. You're just saying your process is different. That is the solution you implement to give them the benefit of doing it this way allows you as the client and us as the contractor to avoid unexpected issues that cause delays and increases to the cost. And so this is how you differentiate yourself from your competition. You can say we've been in business for 30 years. You can say we operate with integrity. We put the client first. But this actually says that without saying that. This is the problem, cause, solution, benefit structure. And when you do it this way, it will relate to more people, which will get more engagement, which increases your search engine optimization. Because the more people that engage with it, Google says, ooh, people like this thing, so let's put it in front of more people. But also, people will search significantly more likely how to overcome fear of a remodel project than, hey, who has 30 years of experience in Charlotte? So if you look at it that way, what are people more likely to search for compared to, excuse me, what you think they want to know about you? They want to know that you know them. So problem, cause, solution, benefit. You can use this literally for any piece of content you create, and it creates a much better way to be found more organically for free on social media, because those posts will come up when they Google search it in their process, right? Because everybody does their process a little differently, but most people at some point are going to search for answers for the questions that they have. So should I pay to be on the first page of Google? I actually hate this as an idea because it can be incredibly expensive and difficult to compete with larger companies. And if you don't know this, there is SEO pay that can help you, but you can actually pay to have somebody attack your competition's search engine optimization. That'll knock them down. So like you can pirate someone else's attempt. So if you're like starting to win, someone else can pay to attack you and bring you back down to the second page. So it's like it's this constant battle. It's basically who can spend more money. But in the grand scheme of things, it's like a billboard. And once you stop paying, you're going to drop back down and all the investment will be gone. And I know people that spend thousands of dollars a month on this. And yeah, you might get some value in the short term, but like it's not sustainable. It's not going to help you scale, because the only way to scale your business at that point is to spend more money. I mean, I dealt with a roofing company once that was doing $4.5 million in revenue and was spending $40,000 a month on SEO and Google ads. That's a lot of money, because ultimately he started at $2,000 with 2 sales guys, and then got to $10,000, and now all of a sudden he's at $40,000 in spend. And that's really the only way to scale, when that's your only avenue, is to spend more money to get more leads. So I prefer to do things that informs people to search for me specifically, which negates all SEO everything. Because if I'm putting out content, someone says, I'm searching for win rate consulting, I'm the only one that's going to come up. Just like you're the only one that's going to come up if they're searching for your specific business name because they saw it somewhere else. They had someone talking about it. They heard their neighbor. They saw it on the neighborhood Facebook page. They asked a friend. They asked a coworker. They're searching for you specifically. So pretty much everything else I'm going to cover today is about how to put yourself in the right position to win, so that when someone's searching, they are searching specifically for you. All of that being said, it does make sense to pay for some of these things if you don't have the ability to have a good presence. And if, let's say, you're in multiple markets. You know, when I went to the roofing company, we were in multiple markets. I still didn't spend any money on it, but it would have been helpful to put some more brand awareness into our secondary markets that we grew without it. But I can see there being some value in that if you only have a small operation in another city, or you're kind of traveling back and forth to 2 cities. You know, like in Charlotte, a lot of contractors do work at the coast, and Kiowa and Myrtle Beach and Charleston. So, but they don't actually have a presence there. So it could make sense to spend money on it that way, because you don't have a local presence. But if you're not doing everything else I'm about to cover, I think I would start there, obviously. And I said at the beginning of this, I'm very biased to this because this is the way I did it. And I had pretty good success doing it this way. So what did I do to grow businesses I work for? I use a hunting approach. The farming approach was what SEO and just Google ads and Facebook ads. You're basically like putting something out and hoping somebody sees it. You know, and I think when you get to that 3 million point, when you're below that 3 million mark, you can literally double your business within a year doing the things I'm about to talk about. And I wouldn't have believed it, honestly, when I got into the industry, but doing it multiple times now, I've helped several companies grow, not just from a employee position, but now as a business coach, teaching what I'm about to show you guys. It works done consistently, and it works significantly faster and significantly stickier. Like, it just lasts longer. You don't have that feast or famine and, oh, leads are down, let's put more money towards it. So if you're below 3 million in revenue, these are the things I would suggest doing, and it could double your business year over year by just focusing on and doing it consistently. So what are these things? So networking. Networking is our referral groups like BNI, associations like NARI, HBA, NKBA. Real estate office and property management offices are great ways to get really good bang for your buck. And obviously there's a lot of people on this call, and everybody has probably different industries that you work in. But when I was with the roofing company, we started going after property management companies. When you think about it, there's basically 10 to 30 people within that office that could refer you to their group of properties, right? So like I spent $500 on a lunch one time for 30 people, and it equated to like $500,000 in work out of that one office. That's not easy to get in, but once you get in, because everybody wants to get in, but once you get in, you get a lot of value from that pretty quickly, because you're just building those relationships. Ultimately, what networking is doing is putting you out in front of people who are likely to refer you. So like referral groups like BNI. BNI is a lot better for B2C than B2B. If you're on the fence about BNI, if you sell business to business, BNI is not as fruitful, in my opinion. I've been a part of a couple of groups in Charlotte, at least. B2C, if you're selling to consumers or homeowners, phenomenal. That was one of the first groups I got in when I started selling the remodels. And over the course of like 18 months, I got about $600,000 worth of work out of that group. It's very time consuming though. And that's where like, do you have a salesperson? Do you not? What is the best bang of your time? Because like BNI meets every week and there's requirements and there's more accountability, where NARI meets once a month. There's not as much requirements around. So you got to figure out what works right for you. But getting your face, getting your name, getting your brand in front of more people who could refer you business is the number one thing you need to be doing if you're not. That this will put SEO, Google, Facebook, it blows it out of the water, because you're building personal relations with people and then educating them on what is a good referral for you. Because when you're putting out the SEO, the Google ad stuff, you're basically like letting the client decide if they're right for you or not. And we've all had those calls and those clients, and they don't really know what they're talking about. And you end up having a bad experience because they weren't the right client for you, but you paid for the leads, so you're going to take on the project. And then 3 weeks later, you're like, I shouldn't have done that. In this world, whether it's BNI, NARI, or a real estate person or a property management company, you're literally educating them on exactly what you're looking for. So they're only going to bring you the perfect client. So you might have less leads, which can be scary for some people, but you have a significantly higher success rate on significantly better projects. And the last one here is Facebook groups. You need to be cautious with this. Every town, every city, every area, every group is a little bit different on their rules on how businesses can operate within them. It is significantly better to just go in and engage with the group, like comment on some stuff, answer some questions, post some sort of thought-provoking post in there just to get people talking about seeing your name. Don't just jump in there and be like, post some sort of flyer or image that says, hire me, I do flooring and drywall. It's just not going to work. There's too many people doing it that way. The other way takes a little bit longer, but works significantly better, because now you're adding value. You're earning the right to ask for business. You're earning people's respect. And ultimately, what you're doing is creating a relationship where they feel like they know, like, and trust you without ever meeting you. And I always use the analogy that everybody who's on social media has somebody that they follow or engage with that if they saw in public would walk right up like they've always known them. But that person's never met you. They don't follow you back. They're probably a celebrity. Like for me, it's Gary Vee. Like if I saw Gary Vee out in public, I think we were best friends. He's never met me, but it's weird. But you still build a relationship. And like the concept of being an influencer, if you have 5 followers on social media, you're influencing them. And it's up to you how you do that. If you minimize that impact, just because it's not a huge number doesn't mean you're not influencing them. So getting into a Facebook group and putting your message out there and talking about what you can and can't be doing and talking about how and helping people and adding value, that is a really, really great way to start getting your name out there, because I've seen it a bunch. Somebody will comment, hey, I'm looking for this person. 1 or 2 people will refer you. You'll comment about a way to solve that problem. And then you'll get a call from 3 other people on that post that said, hey, I saw you recommended, because they're just lurking on comments. They're not actually posting anything. And now that you turn that into 3, 4, 5 leads from one post that somebody else made in a Facebook group, but because you earned the right and you did a good job and you've added value, you've engaged with them, you'll get 3, 4, 5 leads from that one post, as opposed to you just putting some sort of flyer up on a Facebook page saying, hey, here's what we do. Call us today for a free estimate. It just doesn't engage or add value to anybody. So networking, first thing, if you're not doing that right now consistently, I would start there. So when you're networking, you want to network as much for more referral partners than direct to consumer. So those are some of the places to go. But when you're out networking, you want to be asking people to introduce you to more referral partners than direct to consumer, because when you find referral partners, you have to sell yourself once, and then they will sell you to their audience, their network, their people, their whoever. When you're selling direct to consumer, like the door knocking kind of mentality, you have to resell yourself every single time. And man, does that get old. That gets exhausting, and it just is not going to equate to a lot of enjoyment, as opposed to, let me educate these 5 people who can refer me clients, and then I'm going to sustain those relationships, and they're going to keep feeding me business. And that's how you start to build a really healthy pipeline of high quality, the right leads, the right types of clients, because you're educating those referral partners on who it is that you need to be working with. When you are networking, do not walk up to somebody and try and sell yourself the first couple times you've met them. Instead, make it your intent to bring them value. The faster you bring value to them, the faster they will start to like and trust you. Because we've all had those situations where at an event like, hey, how are you? Oh, I do drywall and paint. Do you have any needs for that? Well, like, bro, like, I don't even know your last name yet. Can we like calm down a little bit? But what you'll do is you'll shut them off, because even subconsciously they'll believe like, okay, he's only here for one reason. But when you walk up and say, hey, how's your day going? How can I help you? What's going great in your life right now? Like, what project are you most excited about? Now you're starting a human conversation. And then at some point you'll earn the right, or they'll just ask, hey, what do you do? How can I help you? Great. Now there's a window. But don't just come at them trying to sell yourself immediately, because you will rub people the wrong way. It will not work out well for you. And you'll go to 3 months of a BNI group like, I don't know why I'm not getting any referrals. Maybe you need to adjust your approach. Maybe you need to adjust how you're going about it, but focus on bringing value first before you ever ask somebody to do something for you. This is kind of like a human interaction thing at this point, but specifically in networking. When you're networking, you have to be incredibly consistent. You need to show up, and what you do needs to be the same. How you look needs to be the same. How you show up, you'll just gain trust so much faster, because they know exactly who you're going to get. Especially when you're networking for referral partners, when you show up and you look the same and you talk the same and you believe the same and you act the same, they feel incredibly more confident in referring you to somebody, because they believe in your consistency. You know, if this week you show up and you're doing flooring, and next week you show up and you're doing roofing, the following week it's fencing, it's like, dude, what do you do? Well, you can't be great at all of it. And even if they're not saying that to you, they're thinking it. So try and be consistent, try and like show up and look the same and be professional. You know, even if I went as far as like when I was doing roofing as sales, like when I'm walking on roofs all day, like I would bring clean shirts with me, because I always wanted to show up looking ready for that meeting. Like they were the best, most important client of the day. You know, something that simple, it adds up. It kind of puts deposits into that equity of the trust factor that you're building with people. And if you're not consistent, you will lose the trust factor. They may know you and they may like you, but getting to that trust level is a game changer, because now they feel comfortable referring people to you, or they feel comfortable hiring you, because you are what they believed or heard you were. But if every time you show up you're somebody different, no one will be comfortable referring you. So do what you say you're going to do, especially on the little things. I've seen people kind of blow it off as, it's no big deal, I'll get back to that tomorrow. Or, oh man, I forgot, I just didn't think it was a big deal. Ultimately, what will happen is if they can't trust you with the little stuff, they're never going to be able to trust you with the big stuff. You know, little things like, hey, I'll connect you with that person, right? In networking, there's a lot of times like, hey, how can I help you? Oh, I'm looking to be in touch with financial advisors. Oh, I got a guy, I'll connect you to him. If you don't actually follow through on that, or you're not planning on following through on that, or you don't actually have a financial advisor, you were just trying to get them to ask you what they can do for you, you're going to lose a lot of trust. And some of the best guys I know who are phenomenal networkers, who are phenomenal people, they are known and liked, but they're not trusted because they never follow through on the little things. And if you can't follow through on the little things, I'm never going to be able to write you a $150,000 check for a kitchen, or even a $20,000 check for a roof. So when networking, specifically on when you tell somebody, even something little you're going to do for them, make sure you follow through on it. Continually educate your network on what is and is not a good referral for you. One of the most frustrating things is one of your best referral partners sends you somebody and you tell that person, no, they're not a good fit for your business. You are going to infuriate your referral partner, because that referral partner trusted you to take care of that person for them. I did quarterly calls with my top 10 referral partners every quarter for like 6 years. And all it was, hey, here we are as a business. Here's our lead time right now. Here's what types of projects we're saying yes to. Here's other projects we are saying no to. And I can't tell you how many thank yous I got for that, because nothing's worse than me referring somebody to you, you telling them no, and they come up to me, Mike, what the heck? Why would you refer me to them? They told me they didn't want my business. Because all that person heard was, my money's not good enough for you. So educating your referral partners consistently on what changes are happening, what is good, what is not good, what are you looking for, what are you not looking for? Because business changes, right? Like you lose some employees, you gain some employees, you get booked out, all these things happen. So once a quarter, I would have a call with my top 10 referral partners on just the status of my business, because it made it incredibly easier for them to refer me consistently on things I wanted them to refer me. And then they would not refer me the things that I was going to say no to, which helped just keep the relationship very fruitful for the long term. So we're going to talk about prospecting. This is something that the industry I have seen has not done a great job in, from pretty much every company I've talked to. And ultimately, it's the difference between the jellyfish and the shark. The jellyfish hangs out, puts its tentacles out in the water, and basically eats whatever swims into its tentacles. Where the shark goes out and hunts for exactly what it wants. And that's kind of the two sides of this. Like the jellyfish sits around, puts ads out, does some content, hopes somebody calls. The shark says, I'm not going to stop until I get fed. And that's basically my mindset around prospecting. Around, I want to make sure I'm getting every project I would want that's in my town. And I'm going to go out and make sure I get them. Because nothing's worse than driving to a job site and driving past one of the neighbors' houses and seeing your competition sign in their front yard, right? Nothing's worse than that. You're like, man, I should have got that one. I didn't even know about it. Well, I hated that. So I did everything I could to make sure that didn't happen. So who should you be prospecting for? Again, referral partners. Like when you look at who's most likely to bring me the best types of clients. So what you're looking for in a referral partner is somebody who is in a trusted advisory position of your ideal client. So like, obviously, when someone moves to town, they want to do an addition. They're going to ask their real estate agent, right? Because they trust their real estate agent. That's a great place to go. Be careful, real estate agents. You will get your time wasted by many of them. Most of them just want to get to the closing table. But when you articulate what you're looking for, how you operate, you will find many that do like the way you work. Just to give you an idea, in the course of 2 years, I probably talked to about 1,000 real estate agents in Charlotte. To give you context, there's about 40,000 real estate agents in Charlotte. There's a lot. But I focus on a very specific area. And I ended up with about 15 to 20 good referral partners. You know, many of it was just like I would go to an office and do a lunch and learn. I would prospect. You know, I'd pick up the phone and call them. Hey, this is what I do. Is there anything that you have a need for? Hey, I know a lot of people are struggling getting in touch with contractors. Is that something you deal with? Whatever it is. But you want to find somebody who's in a trusted advisory role of your ideal clients. This was something other contractors is an absolute goldmine if you approach it correctly. When you're prospecting to other contractors, there's always somebody out there who doesn't want the project you want. Bigger, smaller, mid-size, whatever it is. There's somebody in your market right now saying no to your ideal project. And so when I was a smaller GC, I prospected to builders and larger GCs because there's many contractors in Charlotte that won't touch a project under $200,000. I'm like salivating over a $60,000 kitchen because like we were growing our business. Like when we started at $300,000 in gross revenue and we grew to 2.2 million in 2 years, I was taking like anything like that. And there were plenty of people saying no to those. So they were just too small. As you grow, then you look for other things. You talk to smaller contractors who can't handle the bigger stuff. But ultimately other contractors, because they want somebody who can take care of their clients. Like even though they don't want to or it's not profitable for them, they want somebody who can take care of their clients. And obviously somebody asking their current contractor they can do something else for them, they trust that person already. So it's a great person to prospect to and like literally pick the phone. Hey, here's what I do. I believe this is what you do. Is there a way we can work together? Like I can take the stuff you don't want. I can send you the stuff I don't want. There's a lot of relationships like that I was able to build over a few years that really helped me grow my brand and get in front of better clients pretty quickly. Architects are the hardest one. Everybody wants to get in front of them, so they're a little bit harder to get in front of and talk to. But then financial advisors, specifically for people who are doing multi six-figure projects, like your target market's probably 40 to 60 years old in some sort of life transition, maybe even 50 to 60 years old. Well, the first place they go when they're about to spend a bunch of money is their financial advisor. Hey, I want to spend $300,000 on an addition kitchen remodel. What's the best way for me to pay for this that doesn't impact my retirement very much? That was when I started getting some much larger projects. Like the biggest project I sold on the remodel side was about a $450,000 addition remodel, and it came from one of my financial advisor relationships. And when you're prospecting them, it's pretty simple. Like, hey, here's what I do. Do you have a need for something like that? And one of the best lines I used that was the simplest, because you can send this in a DM, you find them on LinkedIn or Instagram or their website, you call them, is would you benefit from a relationship with insert whatever it is you do? Would you benefit from a relationship with a quality local remodeling company? No, I got somebody already. Hey, do you mind if I just shoot you some information just in case that changes? Or, yeah, actually I do. Like, I'm tired of dealing with this other guy. I'd love to talk to somebody else. I've called 5 people, but no one's called me back. Well, now you're differentiating yourself because you called them. But that simple question can really change just how you're initiating the conversation when you're actually prospecting. So these are potentially cold reach outs, cold DMs, cold calls, but simply, would you benefit from a relationship with insert whatever it is that you do? And look, if they say no, that's fine. Move on to the next one. You don't need many. When you find 3 to 5 referral partners that are willing to give you work, you can literally change your business overnight, because now you're starting to feed it with a lot better, higher quality leads. So you got to create a message that matters to them, right? So you can say something as basic as that, or you can say, hey, I know a lot of real estate agents using the same problem, cause, solution, benefit structure. Hey, I know a lot of real estate agents struggle like getting contractors to call them back. Well, that happens because a lot of contractors get too busy, or they're holding a hammer and trying to answer the phone at the same time. We have a full-time sales staff to make sure that you're communicated with proactively and consistently so that you can help your clients get to the closing table. That's it. Problem, cause, solution, benefit. So you want to connect with them via email, text, or social media, but then get them to engage with your content if you can. If you have a good social media content or YouTube channel or however you're doing, if you don't have those things, I'm doing a presentation this afternoon talking about social media. If you're not registered for that, register for that. But I'm not going to dig too deep into social media on this one. But when you engage with them or they engage with you on social media, you begin to start that know, like, and trust process. Because ultimately, it takes 7 to 12 touches for somebody to feel like they can believe in you or are willing to buy from you. Well, the first one could be that cold call, that cold DM. The next 6 or 7 could be posts you make that are just passive for you. You're posting them anyway, but now they're seeing it and there's that additional touch. They see your name in their feed. They see that awesome project you do. They see that great video you just shot. And now they start to grow a relationship with you over time, because really good referral partners know they're really good referral partners. So your ability to stay in front of them, they'll start to trust you. And if they don't have a need now, they will at some point, almost always. So getting them to engage with your content is a great way to just easily and non-confrontationally and kind of passively get them to start to grow that relationship with you, so they get to the point of trusting you and being able to refer you business. So what to expect. Few will have an interest right away. A lot of times like, hey, not right now, no problem. Don't let that stop you. Don't let that hold you up. I mean, I got to the point where I was making 5 calls a day. That was it, 5 calls a day. And over time, it adds up. And I was only looking for 5 to 10 good referral partners. So I could talk to 1,000 people and know that I was going to lose more than I was going to win, because it only takes a handful to make a massive impact on your business. And so if you start the process today, like, man, Mike's got this. He knows what he's talking about. I'm going to start prospecting tomorrow. It will take 3 to 6 weeks before you start to see any real value from the activity, because it's going to take some time for people to get to know you. They're going to take some time to get to understand what you want. There's going to take some time to get an actual opportunity to refer to you. They might forget about you the first time or two, and they're like, oh man, I forgot about you. I'm sorry. I'll get you on the next one. So, but if you can do this consistently for 6 to 9 months, like I was making 25 contacts a week, cold contacts a week. If you do that for 6 to 9 months, you will never have to do it again. And I've proven this over and over and over again. If you're willing to put in 6 to 9 months of prospecting, you will have better results. And you just won't have to do it anymore. So branding, so prospecting, branding. This was a game changer for me. That was a company that I worked for back in the day. But getting our truck and a trailer outfitted really changed how people viewed us. So we went from not really having any market share to, oh my God, Mike, I see you all over the place. Well, it's just the same truck and same trailer, but we're in the same neighborhood, so you see it. But you want to get your trucks and trailers outfitted, and it could be a partial wrap. Like a partial wrap of a truck is a lot less expensive than a full wrap. But don't put too much information on the vehicle. Less is more. I kind of put 2 examples here. This Magnum Construction Services, it's very clear what they do, and it's very clear how to get in touch with them. This one below, like you almost go cross-eyed trying to figure out and read all that. It's just too much. So I think the top 2 to 4 services that you offer, contact info and social platforms, because it's very likely someone driving down the road is not going to write down your phone number. Yes, if they're in a parking lot, maybe, but they're more likely to go try and find you on social media from that perspective. Yard signs, do it. Like that's the do. And don't forget to ask. There's a lot of different communities have different rules on how and when and what they look like. But also like try and make sure your yard sign matches the quality of your product or service, because you'll see the one on the left is pretty basic, pretty expensive. The one on the right was very similar to the one that we built for ourselves, because we wanted to represent like we are craftsmen. We are really good at what we do and we care about the details. So we literally built them ourselves, stained them ourselves, got the cutouts made by the printer. But anytime you're doing branding, whether it's online or in person, you want to make sure that it matches the quality of your actual work. Because I mean, if this is what your yard sign looks like, your company services, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 one, but you're trying to sell $250,000 remodels, that's just not going to line up. It's good to do, it's better than nothing, but anytime you're doing any type of branding, it's important to make sure it matches the quality of your brand. Door hangers, don't make them generic. I'm not huge on this, but I have helped a few clients create some. If you're going to canvas around a current client's home to prospect, get a smaller run of hangers, like get a smaller amount, but make them very specific to the neighborhood or the problem they're having or the environment they're dealing with. Like the one I helped a client create, he was selling retractable roofs and awnings on a golf course community, and he made a flyer about, hey, are you tired of sitting outside getting hit with golf balls? Here's a great way that you can cover yourself when you're out there, but retract it when you don't need it at night or on the weekends or whatever. And that worked incredibly well because we talked about a very specific problem in a very specific neighborhood and related to, hey, we're actually doing work for one of your neighbors. I don't have a picture of that one, but I use this one. It says your neighbors are getting a new roof from Tip Top Roofing. I kind of pulled this off the internet, but get the concept. If you're going to do it, make sure it's specific. Don't just try and run 5,000 door hangers and put them in the same in all neighborhoods. Do a smaller amount and make them very specific to the situation or the canvas around the project you're doing currently. When it comes to your clothing, don't underestimate the power of consistency. I've seen a lot of people have like wildly different shirts or wildly different colors. And I think it just creates brand confusion a little bit, and not as extreme as some of the other things we talked about. But you want someone when they see your logo or they see your color scheme to know exactly who you are without actually having to look at it. So if you don't have branded shirts and polos right now for your team, look, you're not missing out on a ton, but this will help you level up at some point. But when you go about doing it, try and be consistent in the structure, the color scheme, the layout, however that goes. Billboards are hard to get an ROI on, in my opinion. I thought this was one of the greatest billboards I'd ever seen. I would have never thought of putting a dog on a billboard like that. It made me laugh, so I put it in this presentation. But the challenges with billboards is it's incredibly hard to track. It's incredibly difficult to get targeting on specific types of people. And I think there's just better ways. Like an average billboard in Charlotte's $5,500 a month. That isn't a lot of money you can put into something else. If you're a large corporation, you're doing 10, 15, 20 million, it makes sense. Like the Morris Jenkins of the world, which is a giant HVAC company in Charlotte, I get it. It makes sense for them. But the average business doesn't need to do it, and there's plenty of better ways to spend that money. My opinion, at least. So social media, which I'm going to get into significantly more this afternoon. I didn't want to spend too much time on it on this one because I'm doing a whole presentation later on it. But when you're using social media, there's a ton of platforms. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But outbound engagement is really important, like engaging with those referral partners, engaging with those communities, engaging with those Facebook groups, or even just getting onto Instagram and searching for, let's say you're a plumbing company trying to do work for GCs. Go follow 5 of the GCs or 10 of the GCs in your town and engage with them. Comment on their stuff, like their stuff, shoot them a DM, engage with value, just like networking. Don't try and sell them. But people put stuff on social media to be engaged with. So give them what they want, engage with them. Use social media for storytelling more than sales pitches. The problem, cause, solution, benefit structure. Get on there and tell stories about what you do and how you do and why you do. And that's how you build trust about how you deal with clients and how you have integrity, without saying we put our clients first and have integrity. And then video content. Look, if you're not doing video, please do. You are going to get beat by somebody who does video, period. It's going to happen in the next probably 1 to 3 years. My opinion is in 3 years, if you're not starting to do video now, you're going to get beat out and you're going to be struggling really hard as you go through trying to grow your business. So recap, and then we'll get into questions. Then I have 5 minutes. So focus on SEO in your content, but I would not be paying to be on the first page of Google unless you're a big company, have a big budget for marketing. I just don't think the ROI is there compared to all the other things we talked about today. And then hunting does win faster and wins more often, in my opinion. So network, prospect, brand yourself, and then do outbound social media engagement. So I'm going to unshare my screen and we're going to answer some of these questions. All right. So the first question from Peter: did you have referral partners that wanted to kick back on their referrals? Yes. That did happen sometimes, but why I tried to focus on people who were in a trusted advisory role was because typically they benefited from allowing me to help their client beyond the monetary value of whatever the few dollars you would give them as a referral kickback. I don't think that builds a strong personal relationship with that referral partner. And so I would say no to people. Who are like, hey, I want a 10% kickback. No, how about I just am a great referral partner for you and help your clients and make you look really good? How about that? So pretty regularly I would push back on that, but there were times that like I've done it, but I think there's enough referral partners out there that you don't have to do it. And because it can really impact your pricing model, your profitability. They can change their mind, or then if someone finds out that person got a kickback, it might be, well, the only reason you got referred is because they're getting money for it, not because you're the best option. So it's kind of a gray area. So Chris, what do you think of radius mailers versus door hangers? As long as you're getting granular, I think it's okay. But what I see a lot of people do is they try and create this very generic message and send it to every community in their town. And you're just not going to get as much buy-in. Like mailers get thrown out. When's the last time you picked up a magazine and a mailer and made a buying decision from it? I would say the average person doesn't. I say the average person just throws it out because look, you gotta look at it from who is your ideal client and how are they collecting information? How are they making decisions? I don't think that somebody is going to pick up a mailer and make a buying decision from it. I just don't see it in today's environment, especially as our average clients are getting significantly younger. It's going to happen less and less. I don't see people making buying decisions based on mailers. Is no content better than bad content? Man, it'd have to be some really bad content to be worse than no content. I'd have to maybe dig in a little bit deeper what you mean by bad content, but I'm not sure there is terrible content. There can be content that can be improved upon. I did a presentation last night for another Nary chapter about video production. I showed my first YouTube video ever and it's terrible, but everyone from there got better. And I think it's better to start putting out content because you got to look at an average Instagram or Facebook page. My Instagram page is 500 or 600 posts. Nobody's scrolling to the first 200. But I got better over time. So I would suggest starting because at some point that content will get better. But it'd have to be some really, really bad content to be better than no content. So I would say for social media specifically, Peter, get content out there. it won't be as bad as you think it is. We are our own worst judges, so I think it's better to just start and get better as you go, because people will not go back. Vince, number one thing to do, referral if you're targeting 6+ age group with 50K and upper models. Financial advisors. I mean, I think because 60+, they're not on social media. Some are, but most are not. They don't trust it. They don't know how to use it, so they're afraid of it. But they go to their trusted advisors. So in my opinion, 60+ range and that 50K and up remodels, financial advisors are one of the best referral partners for that. Because they're just not on social media. Door hangers work pretty good. Like if you're doing work in a community that is in that retirement age, door hangers can work. Some have like a no soliciting rule, but I think it would be worth the financial advisor route. I think I got a lot more success in that, because that's where people of that age group go when they have questions about money or how to pay for things. That's the route I went. It worked pretty well, just because they're just not on social media. Mailers might work because they're more likely to look at them, but from the cost to the comparison of what you get back on it, I still don't think that mailers would be the best option. And then Rick, any specific just for companies in the 3 to 5 million range? It depends how many salespeople you have, and I guess kind of what business model you're in and what your average project size is. So if you can real quick, maybe post in there, I have about a minute left here. But Rick, if you're in the 3 to 5 million range and you're doing remodel work and you have a couple sales guys, I would spend time training them on the other things that I talked about today. Teach them how to build their own online presence. Teach them how to network. Teach them how to prospect, because you can literally go from up there and make it happen by teaching your team. So if you have a sales team, I teach them to do the things we just talked about. Potentially spend some more money in events, like sponsor events, because then you're in person with them as opposed to just spending money on Google or Facebook or whatever. Got 1 minute left. So Steven, is it hard to separate your business and social accounts from your personal? No, they are the same. If they are not the same person, if you're trying to be a different person on 2 different platforms, your audience will learn that. They will realize that you're not the same. The better you can be at being consistent across all platforms, the better it is that people will grow a better relationship with you. So I say cross them. You could talk about business on your personal page. You can talk about personal on your business page, and blend the content in quality level. But ultimately, you should be the same person on your business page that you are on your personal page. People should get to know you on both pages, because then they'll get to like you, and then that'll lead to trusting you. So I would blend it all together. And that's my time on the dot.
Thanks, Mike. That was awesome. I feel like you covered a lot of great stuff for us. So as I mentioned in the emails to the attendees before, if you would like to talk with Mike more offline, he will be doing another presentation at 1:30 today, but we'll get you his contact info, and I'm sure that he would be happy to chat with y'all offline. So as a reminder, as soon as I end this, watch for, you're going to get a pop-up to ask you to do that survey. So if you have a few minutes, please do that now. If not, I'll be sending all those evaluation links later this afternoon, so you will have a chance to do them, whether or not you see it at the end. So if there's nothing else, Mike, thank you so much for your time this morning. That was a great way to start the day.
Awesome. Appreciate it.